We gon' run up a check, run up tab, run up.
So, welcome to our very first episode of Business Fumble. I am your host, Sheila Williams, and today we have our guest here, Derek and Bernadette. I'm going to allow them to tell us a little bit about themselves and about their business.
So, I'm Bernadette. We are we were the owners of Boss's Slow Smoke Barbecue. We ran our business for 7 years, and we're here to talk about our experience with that business. So,
Yep. And I'm Derek Eason, co-owner of Boss's Barbecue, and we're here to, talk business fumbles with Sheila. Happy to be here.
Oh, I am so happy, that you guys were able to make it here. I really appreciate you taking out your time to talk about your story.
No problem.
So, the first question that I want to, ask you guys is, what inspired you to start Boss Barbecue? What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, first, money.
right, money.
Of course, that's that's the main motivation. But I've always, wanted to do for myself and work for myself. I never was comfortable working for somebody else, and so I've always did my own thing. And so we first started with a clothing store. We opened up a boutique and clothing store, but that didn't, take off because that was around the time Fashion Nova came up, and that kind of,
took over everything.
Yeah, took that market. And so I started, barbecuing, outside of our boutique, and it just took off.
Yeah.
And then it took off, so well that we closed the boutique, and then we went barbecue full time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Something you said, though, you said you never liked working for anyone else. Would you mind elaborating on that?
I mean, it just didn't make sense to me personally. This is all my personal, opinion. It just didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
It physically made me sick. So
Physically, it really did.
Yeah.
He'd get up in the mornings and
Yeah, I didn't.
He'd be
I
sick.
didn't want to do it, so I didn't. I stopped, and so we started doing our own thing. I wanted to be self-employed.
Wow. The reason why I said to elaborate on that is because is not how I felt inside, but I always had this drive to do my own thing. And sometimes I was a little weary about stepping out there because you don't know if it's going to, it's going to take off.
It's scary. It's very scary.
It's very scary.
Very scary.
But my son, he feels the same way. He cannot work for anyone
and
else.
that's how my sons are too. And some people are just that way. Like, you can't work a regular job. You want to work for yourself.
Yeah. I believe you can't go wrong working for yourself.
Right.
Oh, wow.
You can't.
And explain why you feel that you can't go wrong.
Because I think you have more, control. You have more in your hands. You can't fire yourself. So you get to use all your potential. It's actually really good to use all your potential and put it all on you instead of putting your life in somebody else's hands. That's not smart to me.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you used to be the co-owners of Boss Barbecue. So I guess now it is closed right now?
We closed it.
So would you like to share some of the significant setbacks or mistakes you feel you encountered through your process?
Yeah, I think the number one mistake was lack of knowledge, lack of business knowledge. And that's very important. And I didn't have anybody to teach me anything about business, finances, credit, or corporate structure, or any of that. So we just jumped in the deep end.
Yep, we jumped in the deep end. And then for the past 7 years, we were just pretty much drowning and just keeping our head above water the whole 7 years. So we
didn't know corporate structure. This is what I'm learning now.
Wow, that's amazing because, so often that's what, I talk about is understanding business and things that you don't know, pay a professional so that you can get that,
Right.
and so that's amazing, that.
That was another one of my mistakes too. Is I'm the type of person, I'm really independent. I'm the type that I don't need nobody. That's my attitude,
Yeah.
and that's a mistake because you, like you said, you if you want to do any business, it's good to get a coach or a mentor or somebody who's been down that road before,
Right.
and something, role model, somebody you can follow. That's key because
Yeah.
going into it blindly, you don't know what to expect. With everything with like taxes and our industry, the food industry, you got to deal with the health department and
Yeah.
other business, other restaurants, and like we talked earlier, people,
Landlords and
yeah,
all that.
people hating on you and trying to hoard information and not share. So you have to be prepared for all of that.
And so you mentioned that you had to deal with the health department and the different, I know you had to deal with the city, for your sales taxes and stuff like that. Can you talk about your experience dealing with them? Do you think that it was an easy process or did they make it difficult for you? And if they made it difficult for you, do you feel like there were some factors behind that difficulty?
I think they made it difficult for us personally because they just seen what we was doing because we did start out under a tent and we literally didn't know anything. So we didn't know we needed to have a certain permit or license or anything. So when we first started out, it was like we felt kind of picked on because it was just hard. Like when we tried to get our permits to put our tent up every week and stuff, they
made it difficult.
They made it really difficult for us. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they didn't tell us. They didn't really tell us what we should do, and they kind of like really didn't want to help us.
Just told us we couldn't.
Yeah, they just told us we couldn't, and they really didn't like me because I don't back down. I just told them, you don't tell me that I can't. You can tell me how I can, and I'll do it. I follow the rules, but
Right.
I'm not going to stop just because you're not telling me something.
We had to basically like find the loopholes on how to get these licenses and permits and stuff so that we could keep going.
Right.
So it wasn't just handed over to you.
No.
Because I know
Oh, no.
that sometimes when I go to different agencies for my client, they will just say, oh, well, you just need to do this. And then you go and do that and you come back and say, oh, well, you need this and or you need that.
Yeah, like they won't tell you everything.
Right.
They
Yeah.
tell
So
you bits
now-
and pieces to make it difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now when I go and they do that, especially like if I go to, for the business license or anything, and I'll go there and they'll say, hey, you need to fill this out. And I'll say, okay. So once I fill this out, do I need to have anything with me?
Right.
What do I need to bring? And I literally just said this to one of the agents there. You guys need to be more forthcoming because you make it difficult for people to run their business because we have to run down here 4-5 times simply because you tell us, fill this out and this is all you have to do. Then when we get here, oh, you need to have this and you need to have that. Why not put a checklist together that you can give to each person that comes in here so they are fully aware of what they have to do? And she told me, she was like, well, that's a good idea, but I don't know if it would happen. But, I do understand where you guys are coming from when it comes to that.
It's kind of like they they kind of like they resent you for owning your own business because I don't know. Yes, they have to punch a clock and they feel you should too, and so they don't want to really help you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of vibe I get down when I'm
Yeah.
down in a lot of places, like the health department.
Health
and
department's the worst.
Secretary of
Why do you
State.
say that? Why do you say the health department?
They're just
I don't know. It seems they get. It's
the
like
way
they have
treated
a.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, their vibe and their attitude towards it's like they're. I don't know. It's kind of. Yes, jealousy or hatred.
Hatred.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare you How dare you start a
Really.
business and, you know, and I get it. They have to go to work every day and punch a clock, but I don't know. I guess they feel that's something that they have to do. But I mean, you can
Right.
quit and start your own business too. I mean, so why trip me up? Where I'm
Right.
trying to go. So
So you had mentioned that, you get attitudes from different people. And that comes from like speaking your mind. And most people will say that's like the strong, a strong personality or whatever. Do you feel that having that has hindered you in any kind of way?
it could it could possibly be that, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't really think about it. I really don't care. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we all have choices. We all, can do what we want. And so, I mean,
I feel like if we weren't like that, then we wouldn't have gotten as far as we did.
yeah, because they will run
we
over
did have to stick up for ourselves. We did have to fight for our business
you. And
a
tell
lot
them,
of times.
Yeah, we had to tell them what they're going to do. And
Yeah.
they're used to
We
people
did.
coming in there and like being shy and timid and asking and begging. And, I'm not like that. It's like,
Yeah,
I feel like, you work for me. You know what I'm saying?
right.
You work for the city, so, and the city's supposed to help businesses, small business. So you working for me, so you need to do your job and tell me what I need to do. Like you said, all at once. Don't give me bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Give it all to me. You know what I'm saying? You get your whole check, don't you?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely. Hey, I feel the same way that you feel, and, I've had you guys' food. It was it was amazing. Like their barbecue was so good.
Thank you.
The banana pudding, I still remember that because I would get that all the time. Sometimes I would order it, and I know that I used to use the, like the Uber Eats and stuff like
Yeah.
that to
Yeah,
pick
yeah.
up my food. So
Yeah.
you probably didn't know it was me, but
Yeah.
so knowing that your food was really, really good and you guys put a lot of thought behind your menus and what you were selling, what do you think mostly led to, the failure of the business shutting down?
Like I said, lack of knowledge of business, because like you said, we did have a really good product, but that doesn't really matter in business because, McDonald's don't, and they sell every day. You know what I mean? So it's because they have a good business structure and they know how to do business. So it really doesn't matter about your product. It's how your business is structured. And one of our mistakes that I know now is that, and what most people do is they get into business to make money, which is totally wrong. You have to go get money to do business. So this is what I'm learning now from my teacher, and that's why I just shut it all down and start all over from scratch. Yeah.
Oh, that's really good, because one thing that you said is it's not about all the time having a good product, because you can have a good product and it can fail, but there's so many components that has to go with that. Like for me, I've been in business since 2015, and like you said, I started my business with the mindset of, okay, I only need this amount of money to get me through the month. And so after I make that, then I don't have to do anything else. And so there was growth potential at that point, but I was just like, I don't need it because I have enough to do what I wanted to do. And when we do that, we have lost the whole business concept.
Right.
Yep.
Because a business concept is to start that business and let that business do what it's going to do, and if it's going to grow, then you just have to work with it. You mentioned McDonald's, and I always mention them too, because what they did was, all they did was create a wheel, and that wheel just turns. Everybody knows that when you get a wheel, you just turn it, and you need to turn it in the direction that it needs to go. When McDonald's set that wheel up, They sold it, and now it makes millions, and it continues making millions because they have that will. So what you're saying about, learning that part and knowing that part, it is very important. And a lot of people, fail to do that. Now, when you guys started, did you guys have a business plan?
We didn't.
No.
We literally, like we said, just jumped in. We just dove in, and yeah, and
I just started selling meat on the street.
yeah, and it
Just
just
smoke
we didn't
weed.
expect it to turn into a business.
No
That's like,
permits, no licensing.
we were just
no
trying to make
nothing.
some side money.
Yeah.
But
So now,
um,
what's your attitude on a business plan for your new ventures?
for our new ventures, definitely marketing. I think that was another reason why it failed, was because we had extreme lack of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can have a good product, but if nobody knows who you are or where you are, you're gonna fail. Like there's like, I don't care how good the product is,
Yes.
And marketing takes money. So
Mhm.
and
our-
that's what we didn't have. We didn't have like all this savings and all this, because we literally just
Family
went
to
into
help.
it. Yeah, we
don't
didn't
have a
have
rich
all
uncle.
that.
We didn't have none of that. So
Yeah.
We were literally just, made, our money from the ground up. Like that's how we, that's how our business came.
Business. Yeah.
So we
no
needed
business
marketing.
plan, no business structure, no credit, no none of that.
Well, do
Yeah.
you think that a business plan is important
Oh yeah,
for a business?
definitely.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't have a business plan either. And the reason why I didn't have a business plan is because I felt like a business plan is only needed when you're looking for financing or an investor, and I was going to do it myself. But the minute that I moved from my home office into a store location, that's when it hit me, because that business plan helps you to move forward.
Right.
That business plan also addresses the marketing issue, because I didn't have marketing either.
Yep.
And my business grew just by word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I pay for marketing, the growth is crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where I have to bring in other people. And that's when I realized, here I am, a finance major, been doing accounting for 35 years, got all of this education, and there was mistakes that I made, and people were surprised that I made those mistakes, because they say, "Oh, well, she knew." Yes, I knew business, but it takes more. Like you said, it takes your product, it takes knowing the business, but also you have to know, the marketing. You got to have the right type of staff, And for you guys, this is a really important question. You are in Las Vegas, okay? You have a food truck and a food restaurant area. There's so many out there that's doing the same thing. What was your experience dealing with other people? And did you find it where you guys could sort of like work together to create an atmosphere where, hey, let's help each other to come up? How do you feel, that atmosphere was for you guys?
Well, the other food trucks, I really didn't get involved with other food trucks because it's kind of like they clicked up.
Yeah.
It's very cliquish. And, because a few of them will click up and they'll go set up somewhere and won't tell nobody else and won't invite nobody else. And a lot of them try to stay away from me because I not only had a food truck, I had an actual smoker that smoked, and it just drew a lot of attention. And they feel if they set up with me, I would take attention away from them.
Right.
Which, I really didn't even think about it like that, because I'm not, as like you said, we all can get money. There's plenty of money out here for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But they just, kind of clicked up and did their own thing. So, I'm a loner, so I did my own thing too. So,
Yeah, it was hard to. We would reach out to people. There was like another food truck that I was down on the strip down, what is that, Park MGM? The Park MGM, and I was like, how do we get over there? Like, well, who do we got to talk to? And they'll be like, oh, we'll email you
Yeah,
all the
they-
information. And I never get an email. And I'm like, why? Like, you guys sell desserts. Like, why are
Yeah.
you hate? Like,
They didn't want us around. We looked for other trucks to
it
come
was-
and do it with us, but nobody didn't want to do it. I don't
Yeah,
know. I guess they
nobody
felt intimidated or whatever, but no, it is what it is.
we just stick to ourselves. Yeah. But like, even like foodies, like the foodie scene is like very cliquish. So like if we would try to get foodies to come to our restaurant and stuff, but it's like they would go to like where they were like the restaurants they were like friends with and stuff. Like it was like the food industry is very cliquish, and it's like stuff people don't realize. Like,
and they want you to pay.
and they
a
want you to
lot.
pay. Oh
And
yeah.
it's like some foodies, it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
Well,
have-
how much did you? So is fees associated with
Oh
that?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like like when foodies come to your restaurant to post a
they're
video,
paid there.
they're
Yeah.
paid
To have
is-
your children along with you, because if something happens to you, yeah, they're gonna suffer because that's their mom and their dad. But as far as that business, it'll keep going because they know how to do it.
It's very important.
You know.
Very important.
Yeah.
I think that's why you get into business in the first place, to leave something for your kids. So if you're not in there teaching them and training them about the business, then you're doing them a disservice.
Yeah, I grew up in so my grandparents owned a Mexican restaurant. It got passed on to my aunt and uncle, and they just sold it last year for $2 million. And I grew up in the restaurant, yet my grandpa never taught me or any of the other grandkids anything about the business, like nothing. And now that I'm older, I'm like, why? Like, I'm almost mad because like, why didn't you teach us anything about the business?
Yeah.
Even my aunt and uncle that sold the business, they saw me open a restaurant, and even they didn't, like give me pointers and tips or even guide me, like not even like help me with loans or anything like that, but just guide me. And it really upset me because we both grew up without our family knowing or having knowledge about business or finances. So everything we've learned, we've had to learn on our own. And it's extremely important, and that's one thing we don't want our kids to have to struggle with, is financing. So we're like making sure that they have that knowledge.
And we
because-
talk finances in the house.
Oh,
When I
yeah,
grew up,
every
we didn't
day.
talk finances. It was always stay out of grown folks'
Stay-
business.
Right.
You know what I'm
and
saying?
that's one
Yes.
thing we're like,
And
no, you
money
guys
was
gonna
a-
know.
money was a- if-
Absolutely.
money
I
was
know
like
my
tab-
mom was like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
She
that,
was like
I
that.
think
It's
that's
the
wrong.
biggest mistake.
Well, it's funny that you guys should bring that up, because in my book, I have a chapter called Lessons We Never Learned. And that was some of the things that I talked about, because in our educational system, they don't teach you about
No.
credit. They don't really teach you about finance. I think when I went through high school, they taught me how to write out a check. They taught me how to look at my bank account and stuff like
And
that.
taught you how to-
but yeah,
How
but
to do a
Accept credit
resume.
cards.
right, but and you do your resume, but
Right.
it never gave us real life experience.
Right.
Like, if you work here and you make minimum wage, this is how it's going to be. We never had any of that. And in my book, I talk about that too. With my mom has always, her whole life, had excellent credit. But I can't remember one time that she talked to us about it.
Yes.
She never said anything.
Yeah.
And the finance part, none of it.
Yep.
So you grew up and you
Grew up in
went
the
through
dark.
life and you just had to learn as you go.
Yep.
So when will that change? Because I think that it should be taught in our educational system, because those children are away from us. When they're in school, they're away from us a large part of that day, because you can't count the time that you're going to bed and going to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
We got to look at the times that we're up and we're moving and we're mobile and we're getting around.
Right.
But we don't have an educational system that teaches us those things. And those things are very important. By the time you realize how important credit is. It's all messed
It's already
up.
messed
And
up.
you're
That's
starting,
yep.
and you're trying to fix it now because now you're like, oh wait, and then even with that, the way that that system counts, that that's not, a good way, because when COVID happened, they had to change all of that.
Yeah.
So if the system was actually working, why you gotta change it now that this, pandemic done happen, So you see that, but we're never ever taught those things. And you are so right. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because we need to change it in our homes, but we also need to change it in the educational system.
Yeah.
And I don't think it'll ever happen.
And
Nope. That's why it starts at home.
And that's why we homeschool our kids, because we want them, anything that goes in their head, we want it to come from us, and we want it to be things that that they need to know, like the stuff that we didn't learn till we was till
Credit,
adults,
finances. We talk to our kids about all of that.
Yeah, we talk about everything, and they're 9 and 11, so
Yeah.
tell them everything they need to know, and that's why we homeschool. That
Well,
reason.
You guys, I appreciate you so much for coming on. I really do.
Nope.
It's important for people to hear your story. I think that the story is amazing. I think that your food is amazing. And anyone that here has tasted, and if they see this video, they're gonna vouch and be like, yeah, Boss Barbecue, where is it? And before we sign off, is there anything that you want them to know that you guys are working on to prepare them for your new ventures that you're doing now?
Oh yeah, she wants to do the barbecue.
I would love to open it back up, just because I miss it, but I think it's just emotional thing for me. I just miss it.
Barbecue is hard.
But it was a very good product.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that again. It was a very good product, and you have already stated that. You guys already know that, because you were doing so well, and you did well with it. There was just other components, not to try to, persuade you to open it, or
right. No, we may
just open it closer to me, because you guys are always so far away.
Right. Yeah. we may do fish and fries and not barbecue, just because we sold a lot of barbecue, but we sold a lot of fish and fries, right?
Yeah,
we
and
did awesome
since COVID, the price of stuff has changed a lot, and barbecue restaurant industry is hard, and especially if you're doing barbecue.
Yeah,
it's really, really difficult, and especially the way I do it, and it's just a lot of work, and it's not really worth it to me to do it. And that's another piece of advice I would give somebody going into business. You want to get into something that's low overhead.
Yes.
Barbecue is very high overhead, so you want to get into something that is less overhead, that's going to take less effort, that brings you the biggest return in the quickest amount of time.
Wow.
So that's what you really want to look for, and not nothing that you passionate about so much, because you may love something that doesn't sell or doesn't really make sense. And when you doing business, you got to separate business from emotion and pleasure and your personal feelings or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So,
and you got to set yourself apart from the rest, because I see a lot of Mexican food, coming from the Mexican restaurant background, it's very low cost, but at the same time they're popping up everywhere. Everybody has tacos. Everybody has, but you have to set yourself different. You want people to go to your truck. You want people to go to your restaurant, not the 10 other ones they just passed. You know what I mean? So you have to set yourself apart.
There's different reasons why people will come to you over other people, and that's just business and life. So again, I would say getting into business, get your credit, your business structure, your corporate structure, laid out properly first, especially your credit. And you want to leverage that, and you want to use that because you want to open up a business to where, you ever seen a business that been open for a long time and you never see nobody there? You're like, how are they even open?
Yeah.
Well, that's what you want to figure out.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I'm learning now. And things will be a lot different this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
definitely.
going business first. First it was more about passion and our love for, because I like to smoke, barbecue and stuff. So, but I went in it more of, the personal love instead of the business
Side of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to make your business first. You have to handle your business, mind your business.
I definitely feel that passion needs to be there at
Yeah.
any business that you open up, because if the passion is not there, you're just doing it for the money. And when the money stops, then you're going to not want to do it anymore. And you have to agree with me that persistency is the key to success.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You have to keep going, and there's going to be, when you're in business, everyone must accept the fact that you will get 100 no's before you get one yes.
Right. Yep.
So you have to be persistent, and you have to, you have to be persistent and just go at it. But then also, I'm going to get back on what he's saying, because it is very important, the finance aspect of it. And then you have
Number
a lot
one.
of people out here that's getting they're running out here and they're getting, because they're seeing these videos that's all over the internet saying, get you an LLC,
Yeah,
buy you this and that. And
not-
it's miscommunication, because you have so many people in the world today that loves to just hear something to tickle them. That's what I call it, tickling, because you run out and you don't even have all of the facts. You just run out and you do it.
Right.
And that's one thing that I have learned. I've built relationships with the different banks. So I know what the banks are looking for. And sometimes, the credit, when it's for the business, they're not really going to look at your credit sometimes. They look at your business finances, and they say, okay, this person can afford it. And some people, they'll have their bank accounts and they run everything through their bank account, but then they end the month with a negative $50 or $50 or $25. How are you showing the bank that you can afford that? In your each month, because like for me, I have a lot of my clients pay me at the end of the month. So that first of the month, it looks like I got all of this money.
Right.
And then after the first of the month, I pay all of my bills and it go right back down.
Right.
But that cycle is still there, and they can look in my bank statements and say, oh yeah, she paid her rent. She got, all her expenses is in here.
Right.
And they really think that I have money, and I don't. And now it's to the point where I got people calling me now, you qualify for 150, 500,000 or whatever. And I'm going to say, from my personal experience, this is just mine. And I'm not saying that anybody should follow it. For me, I don't want no more loans. I had that. And I don't like the position that it put me in. I didn't like the feeling that, of me having that monthly bill and not being able to do the things that I wanted to do, because I had that loan. I had to pay that loan back. And now it's eating up some of that profit, because when you get those loans, you're going to use the money. Money ain't just sitting there. You're going to use it. So for me, I had a bad experience. And then I have seen clients where they did exactly what you said, and they had the resources to get the money. So they just started getting money because they could get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
just was, oh, I want this loan and I want that loan. And then they overextended themselves. And that right there, I watched them struggle each month because they had these huge bills to pay for the loans. And from me seeing that personally, this is just for me.
Hmm.
I don't like loans. Not saying that I'll never do it. I'm very, very weary because of that experience.
I believe that's how we were taught, because I had that same mindset. I never used my credit, never got loans or none of that. But what I'm being taught now is, the opposite. My mentor he says, wealthy people get into debt. Poor people try to get out of debt. And that's been my life story.
Yes.
Been always trying to get out of debt. I always try to get out of debt. And I always wondered why. And he said, you have to know how to service the loan. So it's you don't want to really get too many loans if you don't know how to service them. And do it. You have to have it structured properly. So if you're not structured properly, it can be dangerous and a disaster.
Well, it didn't put me out of business, and like you said, I knew what to do with it. Me personally, I still didn't like the feeling. And as far as debt for me, I feel like that's a bad way to look at things anyway, because our society is built. That's how our society is built. You borrow and you pay.
And look in America.
And so it's a mess.
Who's in more debt than America? So it's good debt and bad debt.
It's good debt and it's bad, and you're absolutely right.
I didn't know that in the beginning, and just like I didn't know about self-employed and entrepreneurship was two different things.
Yes,
I didn't know that in the beginning, and so you live and you learn. If you knew better, you do better. So this is where we're headed in the right direction.
Yes,
and if we decide to do restaurants again, it would be different.
Yeah,
just
get one closer.
You're welcome.
You can come to this side of town, it's not going to hurt you guys to.
If I decide to do it again, it'll definitely be closer. It'll be multiple.
You'll see our faces more.
Yeah.
And be like, man, here they
won't
come
see
again.
You won't see mine this time.
Right.
This time you won't see me in the restaurant this time.
Oh, you're just going to hire someone. I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
We don't want to run.
If I decide to do
we
restaurant.
don't want to run it no more.
Oh,
we just want to own it, not run it.
Yeah.
So, before we sign off, you want to tell the guests how they could, reach out to you guys, your social medias or whatever, where they can follow you and follow your ventures.
I mean, this Boss's Barbecue on Instagram, but I've shut everything down. Right now. I'm learning finances. I got a mentor, so get you a coach and whatever it is you want to do. Get you somebody that's been down that road. And so I want to learn business and finances, and I'm learning credit. And that's where I'm going.
Like some real estate.
Yeah. Some real estate. Yeah. That's what I'm looking into, is doing the real estate. I'm all over the place right now. I just want to, reach my full potential. I'm not holding back anymore. I held back for years and years, and
and we're making sure we have multiple sources of income, not just the one source of income, the restaurant, and that's it. We learned our lesson on that.
Right.
Multiple sources.
That's another reason why we're not going to be more hands-on, because we was running the restaurant, doing everything. It didn't give us time to go out and do other streams of income.
Yeah.
Because we was all tapped into that one, which is a mistake too. So
my life story.
Yeah.
That's my life story. So I really, I get that. And I just want to, tell you guys how much I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
I feel that you both are very inspirational people.
Thank you.
I feel that your story is a beautiful story, even though it might have not ended the way that you guys wanted it to do. But I know your service, I know your food, everything was top notch, and hopefully you'll get back out there.
Definitely. It's not the end, and that's another thing I want people. It's never the end. It may be the end of this chapter, but it's not the end of the story.
Right.
Oh, that's hey. You can put that on a T-shirt. It's not the end.
No, it's the end of the chapter, but it's not the end of the book. So we got a lot.
Right.
We got more chapters to go.
Okay. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and join us next week for episode number 2.
Thanks for having us again. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.